You underestimate the power of the dark side. If you will not fight, then you will meet your destiny.
Citizens, soldiers, I'm here at the order of General Robert E. Lee, commanding all Virginia forces. On April 15th of this year of our Lord, 1861, Simon Cameron, the Secretary of War of the United States, sent a telegram to our Governor, John Letcher, directing him to raise 3 regiments of infantry to be sent to assist in suppressing the Southern Confederacy. Governor Letcher's answer is well known to you, but perhaps not his words. His wire to Washington stated, "You have chosen to inaugurate civil war. And having done so, we will meet you in a spirit as determined as the Lincoln administration has exhibited toward the South." 2 days later, the Virginia legislature voted for secession. Just as we would not send any of our soldiers to march in other states and tyrannize other people, so will we never allow the armies of others to march into our state and tyrannize our people. Like many of you, indeed most of you, I've always been a Union man. It is not with joy or with a light heart that many of us have welcomed secession. Had our neighbors to the north practiced the less bellicose form of persuasion, perhaps this day might not have come, but that day has been thrust upon us.
Hey, can you hear me?
It was thrust upon our ancestors. The Lincoln
Yeah,
administration required us to raise 3 regiments.
Nice.
Tell them we have done so.
I'm not getting my camera out. I'm completely nude right now.
You cannot hide forever.
We are broadcasting, by the way. Anyway, this is the Bailey Report, your first one of the year. I know, a shocker. And it's at 6 a.m., which is incredibly early for anybody that's outside of the Eastern time zone. But alas, this is when I'm available. So this is when you get your content. So anyway, it'll be available for podcasts going forward. I am joined today by Mr. Humongous, otherwise known as my lifelong Democrat friend and comedy relief. But anyway, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about you? It's cold out there, isn't it?
Oh, it is incredibly cold. I don't think it could get much colder than what it already is.
Got some nasty snow came through earlier, caused a bunch of accidents all over the road because nobody can drive for shit, but that's all right.
You should have seen it Friday night. I swear, Northern Virginia, where you're at, is just horrible for driving in snow.
It's not the weather, it's the driver, I think. Anyway.
I think I would have to concur with that one.
So what's on the schedule for today?
On the schedule for today, we have Trump tweeting about needing global warming on the East Coast. I thought you'd get a kick out of this one.
They need to take that man's Twitter.
Well, as soon as my computer cooperates, Trump says East Coast could use global warming. Let's see. Of course, my computer's going to be a pain. West Palm Beach, Florida. This comes out of the AP. President Donald Trump said Thursday, of course, this was last Thursday, the East Coast, quote, could use a little bit of that good old global warming As bitterly cold temperatures are expected to freeze large swaths of the country this holiday weekend. I swear he's a trucker somewhere in a past life or something, because this is exactly what I think I was saying. Either that or he's got the CIA listening in on me. Let's see. Trump wrote on Twitter, in the East, it could be the coldest New Year's Eve on record. Perhaps we could use a little bit of that good old global warming that our country, but not other countries, was going to pay trillions of dollars to protect against. Bundle up.
You and I both know the only reason he wants global warming is to increase his tan. That's it.
I don't know how you increase your tan with global warming, though, unless he's baking his skin.
It's gotta be. The man's orange.
The president did not acknowledge the difference between the weather and the climate. Alrighty then. Weather refers to atmospheric conditions during a shorter period of time, while climate is a longer view of weather patterns. Okay. How long do they say the Earth's been around? Billions and billions of years, after all, right? We're taught evolution's true, even though we know it's not. But we're taught it's true, and the Earth has spanned billions of years. And if the Earth has spanned billions of years and we have 200 years of data, that would not even be the proverbial grain of sand in a bucket. But we can prove global climate change.
Okay. Specifically, 4.5 billion years old.
You just Googled that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, dear Lord. So 4.5 billion years, we have maybe 200 years of data. Yeah. Okay. Trump has repeatedly expressed skepticism about climate change science, calling global warming a hoax created by the Chinese to damage American industry. Okay, I don't believe it was created by the Chinese, but it is a hoax. Actually, if you trace it back, it came out of Nazi Germany. It was a way to, if you could get the people to believe that the climate is dying and that you can save it, then you can control every aspect of the people, sort of like how healthcare works. He announced earlier this year his intention to pull out of the landmark Paris Climate Agreement. Well, he already did that. Of course, this is all coming off of ABC, so you can imagine how this is skewed. The UN's Weather and Climate Agency, why does the UN have a Weather and Climate Agency, said last month that 2017 was on track to become the hottest year on record. You guys ever heard of the law of thermodynamics?
There you go with science and politics again. You know they don't mix.
I tell you. Blah, blah, blah. Last year set a record of Earth's average global temperature. I guess they found all the right bus stops to put the thermometer over. Oh, did I say that? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm done with that one. That one was just funny. Here's a good one. You'll like this one. With New Year, California becomes blank. I know irrelevant is not an option.
Its own country.
Don't we wish? No, they become a sanctuary state, which basically says we're our own country and we're not going to listen to you. But California became a sanctuary state Monday as a bill that Democrat Governor Governor Jerry Brown signed into law in October officially took effect. The law bars police in the nation's most populous state from asking people about their immigration status or participating in federal immigration enforcement activities in most cases. The Golden State is home to an estimated 2.3 million illegal immigrants. I think we found a way to plug the national debt. About $2.3 million worth. But anyway.
No census, no taxes. Yay.
These are
These are uncertain times for undocumented Californians and their families, and this bill strikes a balance that will protect public safety while bringing a measure of comfort to those families who are now living in fear every day. I don't believe Kate Steinle's parents think that justice was served or that they're very safe right now.
They chose to live there.
Yeah, and they chose to walk on the pier with a guy that, was in violation of every single firearms law in California that could possibly have been passed by now. But the measure has drawn a rebuttal from an unidentified source. Really, unidentified source. Signs mocking the law have appeared below the Welcome to California signs that greet motorists as they enter from Arizona and Nevada. Oh, you're going to love this one. Official sanctuary state, the sign declares. Felons, illegals, and MS-13 welcome. Democrats need the votes.
That's unfortunate.
I didn't think your party was hurting that bad.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong Democrat. Forgot. Sorry.
California.
When I call myself changes.
You're still in transition there, brother?
Some years I'm a liberal, some years I'm a Democrat, some years I'm a progressive. It'll change.
California passed the bill just as the Trump administration was pledging to crack down on sanctuary cities that refused to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. Hey, look, now we can just cut off all funding to California and we can take my tax money and, I don't know, actually fix the roads on the East Coast. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Trump repeatedly pointed to the case of Kate Steinle, a woman who was fatally shot July 1st, 2015 on a San Francisco pier by an illegal immigrant who was a felon who had been deported 6 times and had about 8 felonies and was in illegal possession of a stolen firearm. Okay.
Don't you mean an undocumented firearm?
Well, he did get off. He only got 3 years for a let's see. The defendant went on trial for murder, but was acquitted in November 2017. I don't think it gives me the case, but I believe that the jury in San Francisco did what's known as jury nullification, in which they basically said, yeah, we don't care what the law says. We know he's guilty of sin, but we're just going to ignore it in this case and let him off. Other members of the Trump administration spoke out against the California proposal. The bill risks the safety of good law enforcement officers and the safety of the neighborhoods that need their protection the most, according to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Blah, blah, blah. Disturbingly, the legislation serves to codify a dangerous policy that deliberately obstructs our country's immigration laws and shelters serious criminal alien offenders. Prior to Brown's approval, California legislature passed the measure in September. Now, if we want to get back to the original definition, what the founders wanted, California is perfectly within their rights to allow illegal immigrants in their country. The one problem, though, is California also wasn't supposed to get any federal funding. So with California receiving federal funding comes federal stipulations, you would think. But, I mean, we could just cut off all funding in California, bid California farewell, and I would be as happy as a monkey with a bunch of bananas. What do you think?
I'm a Democrat, I don't think.
So as a lifelong Democrat, if California secedes, are you going to move out there?
I just do what feels good. If California succeeds and they start that domino fall, then, I'll probably just give it a couple years and see where all the pieces land and then pick the best democratic utopia that's still standing.
Oh, you mean like New York?
That's the one. Or Chicago. Chicago's a beauty.
I would recommend you investing in a company that makes Kevlar vests if you move to Chicago.
Most peaceful city in the USA.
Oh, yes. Peaceful.
That's
Peaceful's not exactly how I would describe Chicago, and I have lived in Chicago. Well, actually, I lived in Hammond, but I went to Chicago every weekend.
They're not violent felons. They're just misunderstood.
Misunderstood violent felons is what they are. Gang members that need to be dealt with a firm hand. But anyway, I believe. Well, I got about 3 minutes here before the break. You're gonna. We still got so much to cover here. It's ridiculous. Let's see. I got to get a break done.
You know, for the break, you should play Bernie Sanders' campaign for 2020. He is
Bernie
running.
Sanders.
Mhm.
Is he going to be alive in 2020?
We'll find out.
I don't know, because they're saying Hillary is at the lowest approval ratings of her public life right now.
The real surprise is that she has any to begin with.
You didn't see this, but there was a post on MeWe that I put out, which is a new social media group, sort of like Facebook, but with a lot better freedom settings. And we have our Cerberus Radio Network has a group there. So you can look us up on there, or you can look us up on Facebook. I think I posted on my personal page on Facebook, but it had Miss Aberdeen and Miss Clinton. Sitting in between them was Mr. Weinstein.
Weinstein.
And let me see. It was hilarious. I'm probably not going to be able to find it right away, though. And of course, I put it on here. Here's what it said. Is a sexual predator surrounded by two women who supposedly fight for women's rights that are both married to sexual predators. You can't fix stupid.
Nope, but you can tax it.
You can tax the crap out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us up to our well, we're going to go ahead and take the break anyway. So this is the wrong show, Dan. This is the Bailey Report on the Cerberus Radio Network. We will be right back after this.
Looking for a new custom camo dress or scarf? Tail Gunner Apparel. Looking for bath and body products for women and men? Tail Gunner Apparel. Looking for bed scarves and custom home products? Tail Gunner Apparel. Look awesome and feel even better. Tail Gunner Apparel on Facebook or at tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com. That's tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com.
Made love and then you cried. Remember when?
Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Oh, okay. This is the Bailey Report, only on the Cerberus Radio Network, and I am joined with today. Still nighttime for me. The sun ain't completely up here on the East Coast. By Mr. Hugh Mungus, and he is a lifetime Democrat. He is going to explain to us how minimum wages actually increase jobs.
That's, you know what? It is so racist for you to put me on the spot. I mean, this is exactly what I expect out of a conservative.
Yes, but I'm actually a secessionist, so yeah, nice try. Anyway, you will love this one, Mr. Hugh. New laws take effect across the country as states ring in the new year. Yeah, because January 1st is just the most logical time to saddle everybody with new regulations. I don't know, maybe because everybody's distracted, but anyway, the new year brings in new laws across the country for workers trying to scrape by. They're getting a raise Monday. Oh, by the way, I got a pay raise Monday. Woo! The minimum wage goes up in 18 states total from Maine to California. And no, my state did not increase the minimum wage. I get it because I'm a union employee under a union contract that says I get a pay raise on January 1st. And let's see, minimum wage increases happened in Washington, California, Arizona, Alaska, Hawaii, Colorado, Montana, South Dakota, Minnesota, Missouri, Michigan, Ohio, New York, Vermont, Maine, New Jersey, and can you believe it? Florida. Most interesting. Also in the Golden State, pot shops can now open for business, making California the largest state to allow recreational marijuana. They are going to be really happy on the West Coast. Not only does Washington allow them to smoke, now California allows them to smoke. I honestly believe we will see legalized pot in this country within the next 3 to 5 years. For those caught up in the battle between local police and federal immigration agents, California is now a sanctuary state, as we covered earlier. Police will not be allowed to ask about immigration status. Okay, so can they ask me about my gun license status? After all, it's not illegal. It's just undocumented.
Can we please avoid the G word? It upsets me. Thank you.
Which G word are we referring to?
That 3-letter word. You know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go back to my safe space for a second here.
Oh, okay. Okay, we don't want to scare you out of your safe space now. Will raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour kill jobs? Probably. California even changed the rules for jaywalking. Apparently, jaywalking is a problem in California that needs addressing by the state legislature. So now you can cross the street once the countdown starts. Just make sure you finish crossing the street before it hits 0. You have 5 seconds to cross the street. Get ready, get set, go. In Michigan, a new law aims to protect young athletes by requiring training for high school coaches to spot concussions more quickly. I didn't realize my high school coach needed a degree in medicine. I deal with this at work. If you're not going to do the 8 to 20 years of college to become a doctor, do not tell me you can diagnose a concussion. Do not tell me how to eat. Do not tell me any of this because you are not qualified to tell me. In Illinois, oh, you're going to love this one. In Illinois, who gets the dog in a divorce? Who gets the dog in a divorce? So now we'll not only have custody battles for children, we're now going to have custody battles for dogs. Like the court system wasn't clogged up enough. Like children, judges will now determine sole or joint custody for pets. But who gets to claim them on their taxes? I didn't know we could claim dogs on our taxes. But anyway, maybe Congress can pass that later this year. Doubtful. Doubtful. Congress is really inept at doing anything. Just ask a congressman. Now on to more serious news. The latest, Iran's Khamenei says enemy swaying protest. Boy, he looks old. Anyway, the latest on protests in Iran, all times local, 1400 p.m. I don't know why they put p.m. They put 1400. 1400 is always 2 p.m. in case you didn't know it, military time. Iran's supreme leader is saying the country's enemies have meddled in recent protest rallies, resorting to various means. No. A Tuesday report on the website of Ayatollah al-Khamenei quoted him as saying in recent days, enemies of Iran have utilized various means, including weapons. Sorry, I missed this. Including money. We just paid them off. I don't understand why they don't have any money to pay for their own riots. But anyway, money, weapons, politics, and intelligence apparatuses. Well, it's not the U.S. because we don't have any intelligence apparatuses, quote unquote, in Iran to create problems for the Islamic State, or not state, the Islamic system. Khamenei, who has final say on all state matters because they're a theocracy, did not name any country, but said he would explain more in the near future. He probably had to go take his senile pills. Or he had to get on a chopper and get out of Dodge before the guy showed up at his door. This is the first time Khamenei has commented publicly since protests over inflation and economic corruption began Thursday in Mashhad and spread to other cities. More than 20 people, including protesters and security forces, have reportedly died in clashes, and hundreds have been arrested. Now, as of 11:15 p.m., Syria has expressed solidarity with Iran, where clashes between protesters and security forces over the past days have left several people dead and wounded. Syria is Iran's strongest ally in the Arab world, and Tehran has been a main backer of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad since the country's conflict began in 2011, pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into the Syrian economy. A Syrian foreign minister statement released Tuesday blasted the U.S. administration in Israel for expressing support to Iran's protesters. It blamed the U.S. and Israel for destabilizing the region. No doubt we do like to destabilize things. The ministry said Iran's sovereignty should be respected and no one should interfere in Tehran's internal affairs. That I agree with. But do we have proof that we're actually interfering with their affairs? I have no idea. I haven't actually seen proof. I've heard accusations. Syria is confident that Iran's leadership, government, and people will be able to defeat the conspiracy, the Syrian minister said. Okay, 12:15 p.m. The head of Tehran's Revolutionary Court has reportedly warned that arrested protesters could potentially face death penalty cases when they come to trial. Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency quoted, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, it's a really, really long name, on Tuesday, as saying, obviously, one of their charges can be morheba, or waging war against God. That's a death penalty offense in Iran. Most of religions, it's a death penalty, but they're always a little strange over there. Ghazan Farabadi, and yes, I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong, but I am a trucker after all, also was quoted as saying some protesters will come to trial soon on charges of acting against national security and damaging public properties. He also stressed that attending rallies not sanctioned by Iran's Interior Ministry, which oversees police, was illegal. Oh, nice. Sounds kind of familiar. Iran's Revolutionary Court handles cases involving alleged attempts to overthrow the government. Okay, 11 a.m. I think I'm walking backwards in time here. A semi-official news agency in Iran is reporting that 450 people have been arrested over 3 days in Tehran. The ILNA news agency report on Tuesday quoted Ali Asghar Nazarbakht, a security deputy governor of Tehran, offering the figure. Nazarbakht said that 200 protesters were arrested on Saturday, 150 on Sunday, and 100 were arrested Monday. So that'd be 450. The protests began Thursday over economic issues and expanded to several cities. No nationwide arrest figures have been released by authorities since the demonstrations began. Okay, now we walk further back in time. As of 10 a.m., Iranian state television is reporting that 9 people have been killed overnight amid nationwide protests and unrest. The report Tuesday puts the death toll in 6 days of demonstrations to at least 20 people. State TV says 6 rioters were killed during an attack on a police station in the town of Khadarijan. It reported that clashes were sparked by rioters who tried to steal guns from the police station. State TV says an 11-year-old boy and a 20-year-old man were killed in the town of Kamanashar, while a member of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard was killed in the town of Najafabad. It says all were shot by hunting rifles. The towns are all in Iran's central Isfahan province, some 350 kilometers or 215 miles south of Tehran. So there's your latest on Iran. Apparently, big goings on in Iran. We'll have to keep monitoring that situation to see exactly what turns up there or what doesn't turn up there. Remember, they were rioting back a couple of years ago, and it really didn't turn out to be anything. But they also didn't have the president coming out and saying, "Oh, good job, keep it up." So we shall see if this actually brings fruit, if the Iranian regime collapses or not. I don't live in Iran, so I really don't have a dog in this fight. But I thought you'd all like to know Iran is a nuclear power, or at least is believed to be a nuclear power with missiles. So obviously the world is watching them to make sure that none of that gets out and about. Now for another fun piece, State Department releases emails from Clinton aide. Oh, yeah, this is Miss Abedin, by the way. The State Department has released emails from Huma Abedin, a top aide to Hillary Clinton, which we all know. She was like the #1 lieutenant of Hillary Clinton. And these were the ones that were found by the FBI on her husband's laptop. Some of the emails found on former Representative Anthony Weiner's laptop. It's really hard to say, keep a straight face as a trucker when you're reading a guy's last name and it's Weiner. But laptop were marked classified. It was unclear whether they were deemed classified at the time they were sent or when the State Department was preparing them for release. The emails were released in response to a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit filed by the conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch. The State Department said it carefully reviews the content of records requested through FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act, it's FOIA, to determine whether any information is sensitive or classified. And some of the documents released Friday have classified information that has been redacted. Now, the bigger question is, did Mr. Weiner's security clearance, which he probably had as a congressman, was it still active at the time that he was reading this sensitive information? If not, it's a felony by both him. Well, I think it's a felony of him and a felony of Miss Abedin, and possibly a felony by Mrs. Clinton for providing the information in the first place. The FBI found thousands of emails exchanged between Clinton and Abedin while searching Weiner's laptop as part of a criminal investigation into his sexting with a high school student. Oh, the sexting with a high school student. Poor little pedophile. But really, his last name's Weiner, people. I'm really trying to keep a straight face here. The discovery led then FBI Director James Comey to announce in late October 2016, as Clinton's run for the White House was in its final stages of going down in flames, that he was reopening the probe of her use of a private computer server, which in and of itself should have landed her with at least a federal indictment of criminal charges. But alas, magically, if your last name is Clinton, you can violate the law. But as long as you didn't intend to violate the law, then you're fine. So I guess the next time the cop pulls me over for doing 15 over the speed limit, I should just tell him I didn't intend to speed, and that my last name is Clinton, and he should let me off. I don't think that's going to work for me, but it's worth a try. The FBI found thousands of emails. Then 2 days before Election Day, the FBI declared there was nothing new in the emails. Clinton has called Comey's intervention the determining factor in her defeat. It was the determining factor in my defeat. It had nothing to do with I am very well unliked, and that nobody likes me, and that I am just a... Yeah. The word I want to use there, I'm not allowed to use on the radio. It's not a good word. The FBI has since said that only a small number of the emails found on the laptop had been forwarded, while most had simply been backed up from electronic devices. So we have them making copies of classified documents and then not turning them over to the authorities. I'm having a really hard time here. How is that not a criminal charge? Including most of the email chains containing classified information, Comey said the FBI had concluded that neither Weiner nor Abedin had committed a crime in their handling of the email. Just them having the emails was a crime. I do not understand how a truck driver knows this, but the head of the FBI can't put 2 and 2 together. Oh, wait. That's because Trump wasn't supposed to win the election. And we don't bite the hand that feeds us. Oh, the corruption runs deep on this one, people. Deep. Somebody's head will eventually roll for this, but they might be dead by the time it happens. All right, that brings us up to another break. This is the Bailey Report. This is your January 2nd, 2018 edition. Only 19 days till my birthday, so you can send me a gift. And we will be right back after this.
Congressman Paul, are these two men in the middle insufficiently conservative for you?
Well, I think that the problem is nobody's to define what being conservative means.
Go ahead.
And I think that is our problem. Conservative means we have smaller government and more liberty. And yet, if you ask what have we done, I think we've lost our way completely. Our rhetoric is still pretty good. But when we get in charge, we expand the government. You talk about Dodd-Frank, but we gave Sarbanes-Oxley. We gave debts as well, you know, when we're in charge. So if it means limited government, you have to ask a basic question: what should the role of government be? The founders asked that question, had a revolution, wrote a constitution. And they said the role of government ought to be to protect liberty. It's not to run a welfare state and not to be the policeman of the world. And so if you're going to conservative, how can you be conservative and cut food stamps, but you won't cut spending overseas? There's not a nickel or penny that anybody will cut on the conservative side overseas spending, and we don't have the money. They're willing to start more wars. So I say if you're conservative, you want small government across the board, especially in personal liberty. What's wrong with having people, the government, out of our personal lives? So this is what we have to decide: what conservative means, what limited government means. And I have a simple suggestion. We have a pretty good guide, and if we follow the Constitution, government would be very small, and we would all be devoted conservatives.
Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Okay, this is the Bailey Report on the Cerberus Radio Network, and this is the final segment of today's show. I hope you've enjoyed everything for today. Special thanks to Mr. Humongous. Yes, that's an alias, by the way. I don't know why he picked that name, but he picked that name. So a special shout out to him. He joined me today. He's a friend from work, and, well, he has stuff he needs to take care of. He's got to clean a house. So let me get right back into the correct screen. 1 minute, please. For more important news. Kim says U.S. should know North Korea nuclear force is a reality. Okay. I didn't think anybody in the States was questioning whether North Korea's nuclear force was a reality. I believe we quoted something along the lines of, not sure if he had a rocket that could get it here this far, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe he could get a hold of Rocket Mortgage and they give him a mortgage on one. Let's see. This comes out of Seoul, South Korea. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said Monday that the United States should be aware that his country's nuclear forces are now a reality, not a threat. Okay, we kind of knew that already. You kind of split a mountain in half with them. It didn't take anybody else in the world any brain cells to be wasted to realize, oh, hey, you have a nuke, Mr. Un. When you split a mountain in half with the daggone thing, we kind of figure it out. But he also struck a conciliatory tone in his New Year's address, wishing success for the Winter Olympics set to begin in South Korea in February, and suggesting the North may send a delegation to participate. That's interesting. As everybody defects as soon as they get out of the country. Kim, wearing a Western-style gray suit and tie, said in his customary annual address that his country had achieved the historic feat of completing its nuclear forces, and added that he has a nuclear button on his desk. Okay. Interesting. Anyway, the entire area of the U.S. mainland is within our nuclear strike range. The United States can never start a war against me and our country. Yeah. Kind of had a Cold War going on with Russia for how long? So I wouldn't put all your chips on the table there, Mr. Oon. But he also called for improved relations with the South, an idea mentioned in speeches more often than it is met. He said the Pyeongchang, anyway, my Korean is way off. Winter Olympics would be a good opportunity to showcase the status of the Korean nation. He also said that two Koreas could meet urgently to discuss the North sending a delegation. The Winter Olympic Games that will be held soon in the South will be a good opportunity to display the status of the Korean nation, and we sincerely wish that the event will be held with good results, he said. South Korea's presidential office said it welcomed the proposal to hold talks between government officials over the issue of North Korea sending a delegation to the Olympics. The office of President Moon, not to be confused with Governor Moonbeam of California, Jae-in, said the successful hosting of the Pyeongchang Olympics would contribute to peace and harmony, not only on the Korean Peninsula and in Northeast Asia, but in the entire world. Wow, we put a lot of faith into sporting events, don't we? Okay. The New Year's address is an annual event in North Korea and is watched closely for indications of the direction and priorities Kim may adopt in the year ahead.
In other words, is he going to hit the button? I mean, is the button on his desk laying in a way that if he sets a stack of papers on it, it may accidentally go off? Does he have a cover on the button? You know, we need a safety cover. Has his tech force tested the button to see the button actually fires? Because the only reason I say this is because reportedly Russia had horrible problems trying to get their buttons to launch because they pushed it like 3 times and it didn't work. I think Russia's got that problem fixed now, but back during the 60s, they reportedly banged it a few times and it didn't work. This year's speech was seen as particularly important because of the high tensions over Pyongyang's frequent missile launches and its nuclear test in 2017. The tests were the focus of fiery verbal exchanges between North Korea and President Trump, who has derisively called Kim Little Rocket Man. What do you want him to call him? Stupid idiot? That's what he's acting like. But anyway, and no, I'm referring to Kim, not to Trump. Let's be very specific here. Kim also stressed North Korea's economic achievements during the speech and noted the importance of improving the nation's standard of living. Kind of hard to have an economy when you're all but embargoed and you can't trade. If they can do that, it'd be like the first civilization in history. But that brings you up to date on the North Korea situation. Keep your eyes and ears open. If you hear a siren go off, you might want to duck and cover. I have that song somewhere. Oh, let's see. Trumpism. Okay. I got to play this file because I tell you, I'm going to lose my mind if I actually have to read this.
Recently, the Me Too movement has gained momentum, and women have found strength in one another and the courage to come forward, leading many powerful men to suffer the consequences of their actions.
Just wait till this comes to roost to the women that have used this to get their positions. It's coming.
Trump, however, has escaped his path unscathed.
Oh, can you hear the just like the vehement nature coming off their lips, the disdain for this man that won the presidency. It's just amazing. They're dripping with it. It just horrible.
But over a dozen women have come forward about his.
A dozen women. Okay. Has anybody provided any facts, any proof, any evidence other than, yeah, he touched me in the hallway, mama. Come on. Have you seen Trump's wife? Have you seen his first wife? Have you seen these women that are accusing him? Most men, if they're going to have an affair, now not all men, but most men, don't take 3 steps backwards to have an affair. I'm just saying, I wouldn't dream of having an affair on my wife, but I guarantee you, if I was going to have an affair on my wife, I would have it with somebody that you know was much better looking than my wife, which is hard to do because my wife is awesome. But
sexual misconduct, and we have video proof of him promoting such behavior. In an objective setting, without question, a person with this record would have entered the graveyard of political aspirations, never to return.
Unless he was going up against somebody that was so vile that not even an abortionist could pull the lever for her. Hey, Hillary, you got beat by a so-called serial sexual harasser. How's that make you feel? Yeah. Russia did it, right? Okay.
Yet here we are with that man as president. I want to believe that.
Oh, I could tell you this man's bright orange. But anyway, I guess his orange is considered sexually offensive to these women. It's 3 women and a guy. I don't know what the guy's doing up there.
As Americans, we can put aside our political inclinations and admit that some things in.
She can't put her political inclinations away. If you haven't noticed by her entire tone going through this, it's dripping of her political inclinations.
Fact do transcend politics, that we will hold Mr. Trump to the same standard as Harvey Weinstein.
But didn't she just say we were going to waive our political inclinations? But now she wants to hold Trump to the same level as Charlie Weinstein. The problem is she can't, because Trump doesn't get run for election until 2020, and unless you found him guilty of a high crime or misdemeanor, then you can't touch him. It must really stink if you're a liberal and you have nowhere else to go here.
And the other men who were held accountable for their reprehensible behavior.
What? Like John Conyers? What? Oh, he resigned. He was 75, 80 years old. He was having stress-related medical issues. He wasn't going to be able to serve much longer. And honestly, has anybody ever watched Al Franken's Saturday Night Live skits? Come on. Don't tell me about Trump and then have Al Franken out there going, I don't believe I did anything wrong. Come on. If you had half a brain cell to rub together, you would know that what he did in those skits was not appropriate on any level and should have never made airtime.
Some areas of our society, people are being held accountable for.
This is Jessica Leeds, who is one of the, quote, Trump accusers.
Unwanted behavior. But we are not holding our president accountable for what he is and who he is. So I'd like to see this moment. I think.
Can you provide any proof?
The Me Too movement is quite fascinating, and I'm hoping that it creates more movement and that
I'll take that as a no.
We get a change, but we shall see. And we all have to hope.
Oh, so that was basically the gist of it. That was the short clip off of CNN, and it just makes you want to take your eyes and pluck them out of your head, and take your ears and rip them off the side of your head, because there's no proof. This Me Too junk has turned into a social, a new Salem witch trial. You can't say anything about the accusers because that's victim shaming. But the accusers don't have to actually provide any proof because you can't question their proof. So all they can say is, hey, your hazel eyes, they're renegade, they're sexually assaulting me. I didn't touch you. I don't even know who you are. Oh no, but you made a video and see, you looked at me wrong. Well, I didn't see you. But this is the level that we have gotten to in today's politics, people. But nothing will ever change until it comes back to bite people in their own butts. And let me tell you, there's one problem in this that they're not calculating, and it's more commonly known as karma. Otherwise known in scriptures, your sins will find you out. All your chickens will come home to roost, as Jeremiah Wright would say. So I'd suggest you be careful. Make sure if you're going to accuse somebody, you actually have some proof. Make sure you actually have evidence. Don't just make false statements. For one, it's a violation of the commandments, and it's a sin. And we just don't need to have that as an issue. If somebody did do something to you, definitely stand up, say something. Say it right then, not 40 years later. But anyway, this has been the Bailey Report. This is your January 2nd, 2018 edition. It's been fun. I want to thank Mr. Hugh Mungus, our lifelong Democrat friend, for stopping in today. I hope you get your house clean, bud. And I look forward to being here hopefully tomorrow, work permitting. And we can rehash all this. If you like the show, please subscribe to the channel so you get regular updates. We also have a Facebook page under Cerberus Radio Network. We have a group there too where you can reach out with the fans. And we have a MeWe page now, which MeWe is a type of Facebook. It's better than Facebook in my humble opinion, but you can find us there too. So this is the Renegade signing off. Y'all have a good day. Stay safe and watch your driving.